All right, let's dive into something pretty wild today. What if one of the biggest mysteries in all of physics, the fact that our universe is expanding way too fast, is actually governed by the exact same law that pulls the human ego back in check? It's a huge idea, so let's get right into it.
So it all kicks off with this massive puzzle in cosmology. You see, when scientists measure how fast the universe is expanding, they get different answers depending on how they measure it. And these numbers don't just disagree a little bit, they fundamentally clash with our best models of the cosmos. It's a sign that we're missing something huge.
And this problem has a name. It's called the Hubble tension. And I want to be clear, this isn't some tiny rounding error that'll get fixed next week. It's a major, persistent gap that's telling physicists that our whole picture of the universe might be incomplete. It's a real deal cosmic mystery.
Now, the source material we're digging into today frames this in a really powerful way. It doesn't see it as just a math problem. It calls it an expansion-demanding correction. It's almost like the universe itself is telling us, hey, your theories have stretched too far. They're about to snap. It's time to reel them back in.
And that idea right there, a system being stretched so far that it demands to be corrected, that's the key. So here's the big leap, the core of this whole explainer. What if this isn't just about galaxies and space-time? What if that exact same tension, that same overexpansion that needs to be pulled back to balance, is also playing out inside of us?
Let's just put it side by side. The source we're looking at says the Hubble tension is a direct mirror of what it calls return tension in our human world. On one side, you have the universe expanding. On the other, you have the expansion of our own forms, our ideas, our egos. And the argument is both are being pulled back by the same powerful corrective force.
Okay, so if this tension is everywhere, how does reality fix it? Well, the source introduces this incredible concept called reality's debug engine. Honestly, just think of it like a piece of cosmic software that's always running in the background. Its one job? To find things that have expanded too far and pull them back to where they're supposed to be. So how does this engine work? It runs on a three-step process, personified by three key archetypes. First, there's collapse, represented by Ibrahim smashing idols. It's the shattering of empty structures that have gotten too big. Then comes cooling. This is Isep, preserving the essential meaning so it doesn't get destroyed in the fire of that collapse. And finally, you get exposure, where Iblis comes in to reveal hidden pride, to force our real motives out into the light.
Now, this three-part engine is really the core of a much bigger map of our own reality. The source lays out this whole 9-step pathway that shows the entire cycle of how we expand and how we're inevitably corrected. It's a journey, so let's walk through it.
Step 1, the journey always starts with muasa. This is that first spark, that knowledge in motion. It's that lightning bolt of insight that just hits you, shatters your complacency, and forces you to get up and do something. That's the catalyst.
Then from that single spark, it expands out to the community, represented by the Beni Israel. This is the stage where the truth has to be carried by a group. And it gets tested. Life happens, blessings come, trials come, and that collective commitment starts to wobble.
And that wobble can lead to the first big breakdown, which is symbolized by the summary. This is what happens when people start just copying the outside form of a belief, but forget the inner meaning. That living light gets frozen into a dead idol. People start worshiping the symbol instead of the reality.
Okay, so with the external truth now a frozen statue, where does all that energy go? It turns inward. This is the stage of the nafs, the self. Our own desires start to condense, to get stronger, and the ego starts acting like it's the center of the entire universe. Now, a big ego always has big blind spots, and that's exactly where the force of Shaitan comes in. It's not a head-on attack, it's a whisper vector. It finds those little angles of our ignorance and pumps them full of oxygen, feeding our doubts and delusions just where we can't see them.
Sooner or later, what's happening on the inside has to spill out into the world. That brings us to the next stage, represented by the people of Lut. This is the point where those internal corruptions become external actions, crossing fundamental boundaries and leading to what's described as a transgression nobody had ever seen before.
And this path leads to the absolute peak of ego expansion, the final boss, you might say, the archetype of the pharaoh. This is where the self doesn't just feel like the center of the universe, it stands up and declares it. I am your highest Lord. It's the moment the self claims to be God.
Now, one person claiming to be God is one thing,
But when a whole society starts to believe it, that delusion hardens into a system. That's what's called Taghut. It's when falsehood becomes the very structure of society. Truth just becomes background noise, and denial is the official policy.
And the map finally concludes here, with the figure of Muhammad, who represents silent completion. In this framework, this is the end of the line for new divine messages. The system of revelation is sealed, and the path for humanity's return journey is now fully laid out, complete.
Okay, so let's zoom all the way back out. We've gone from the edge of the universe down into the deepest parts of the human soul. And the whole point, the central claim, is that these two things, the cosmic mystery and the spiritual map, aren't just nice poems that rhyme. They're two different expressions of the exact same law.
And here's that law in one sentence. It's a constant balancing act, a cosmic breath. As the universe expands and stretches outward, reality itself is always working to debug and compress everything back towards truth, back towards equilibrium.
This is the mic drop moment, the ultimate point. The Hubble tension that's stretching galaxies apart and the spiritual tension pulling at our souls aren't two different things. They are symptoms of a single, universal principle. Everything that expands, no matter how big or small, eventually returns to its source.
So let's just boil it all down. The Hubble tension? That's just the symptom you see in the sky. The debug engine? That's the universal law that fixes it. And how does it fix it? Through a clear process. Collapse the false things, cool what's true so it survives, expose what's hidden, and guide everything to its completion. And this brings us right to the end, and to the most important point. This whole idea, this incredible framework, connecting stars and souls, look, it's not just a cool theory. The point of this isn't to just load you up with more information.
It's a map. And the whole reason you look at a map is to figure out where you are. By understanding these forces of expansion and return, we can start to see ourselves in this cycle. So the final question isn't about the universe, it's about you. As you live your life, as you expand and as you're corrected, what part of this map are you on right now? What are you becoming?